Just a daily friendly reminder that if you're not sending me money, I fucking hate you. And if you are, I fucking hate you too.
In response to not getting the attention I deserve, I've decided I will cause problems on purpose.
Makes me think of this one time, me and my best friend were like, ugh, I just want to get with a guy who like just got over a relationship and like we can be his rebound. You know, so then it's like not that serious or whatever. Anyway, our friend overheard and then was like, you girls are better than that. Like, don't put yourself down like that. And we were like, putting ourselves down? No, we want them to use us.
We never wanted to make a video like this. I don't think we ever even wanted to have a marriage like this. You know, we took vows and ultimately I defiled them in every way possible. I've had a lot of inappropriate relationships with men, with women, a lot of men, a lot of women. I was fucking, I was sucking, I was in bars, cars, closets, trains, basically. I mean, shit, I had a couple ran on me. It was bad and I'm not proud of it, and I want to publicly apologize for my choices and my decisions. You know, I was eating ass, and I don't even do that for my husband. So I don't know. I take full accountability. You know, it's not something that's because of my family situation. It's not like I had a bad.
So I try really hard not to judge other parents. Like, if a child is screaming in the middle of the store, I'm like, girl, I feel you. You know, kids have tantrum, shit happens. Breastfeeding or formula, I don't care. Like, those are things that are just like, what is. But if you purposely don't let your kids do something because of like societal gender constructs, like you don't let your little girl cut her hair off like she wants to, or you don't let your son paint his nails or wear dresses like he so desperately wants to, then I think you're a piece of shit parent.
Yo, what has happened to boundaries in 2021, gentlemen? You see, this is what happens when men get forced out of the family unit. Okay, we talk a lot on this channel about divorce and stuff like that, guys. And there are a lot of people out here, right? In general, society just wants men out of it. Okay, so these people who complain about, oh, I can't find a good man, or how come X, Y, Z, all the good men are leaving. But what is going on, gentlemen? It is Taylor the Fiend back again with another response video. And on today's show, guys, we got a whole bunch of videos to go through, your submissions that you guys have sent in to the show. But before we crack into it, gentlemen, quick announcement. I want to say thank you to Darius M for the start of that video right there. That was actually his video, so make sure you subscribe to him. And guys, if you're liking the episodes, if you're liking the videos, make sure you subscribe on your way in over here as well. But without further ado, we're just going to jump right into today's videos. And thank you again for submitting them to the show, guys. So let's see what these people have to say.
Here's some things that only F-boys say. Honestly, I'm just convinced only F-boys say these things. Hi, my name is Chloe and I have experienced these people a million too many times. And as your new best friend, effective immediately. I'm just trying to help you figure out the sign.
Yeah, she's experienced it many times. Right, women will say like, oh, I hate dating, dating sucks, how come boys are terrible and all this stuff. And yet they've experienced this many times. It's almost like they're actively deciding to do it, guys. Like, I just have no sympathy at this point. I really don't.
Are you ever Snapchatting them and you say something along the lines of, oh yeah, like I just took a shower. And then they say something like this. Without me? Like, yes, yeah, without you. Next up, when you're sending them just like a selfie, like something like this. Well, that was cringy. And then they say something like, go lower. I really hope you know what I mean by that. If you know, you know. If you don't, ask someone. I beg you, do not Google it. Next up, you guys are just talking about something random and out of the freaking blue, start talking about how their parents aren't home and how you should come over. And tell me why they always say this stuff at night, too. It's never at like 3 p.m. or something.
Yeah, I mean, that pretty much goes without saying, okay? You know, in 2021, gentlemen, a lot of men have realized, hey, what's the point of dating, right? What's the point of jumping through all these hoops when I can just quickly decide, hey, if a girl's into me, all I have to do is invite her over, and if she says no, I'm going to move on my merry way, right? A lot of men are not interested in the $50, $100 dinner dates anymore, because why the hell should men do that when, one, you treat them like crap, and two, the dudes who you're actually interested in, they don't need to buy you dinners or anything like that. Like, these girls will get on camera, man, they'll complain about, oh, I've been treated this way so many times, as if it doesn't take two to tango. right? They could easily just decide to be with another dude or something like that, but that's never the case. Right, now let's have a quick listen and break down a couple more times what she said here before we jump into the next video.
F-boys say these things. Hi, my name is Chloe and I have experienced these people a million too many times. And as
Yeah, right. And people think, like, when we get on the show and we say, hey, these girls, you know, they've had a lot of fun, right? People think we're exaggerating with the numbers. I mean, in her own words, she just used the word a million, you know, millions of times, right? That doesn't mean 5, guys. It doesn't mean 10. It means, you know, sometimes in the triple digits, okay? Like, it's not a joke at the moment. Tinder, it's basically like fast food dating these days, gentlemen.
friend effective immediately. I'm just trying to help you figure out the sign. Okay, are you ever Snapchatting them? You
Figure out the signs. I mean, the signs are not hard to figure out, okay? Like, these ladies are like, oh yeah, I need to figure out the signs to make sure he's not an F-boy. If he wasn't an F-boy, you wouldn't be with him having, you know, doing the experiences that you're doing. It's by virtue of the fact that he is an F-boy, that's the reason why you're with him. Like, I'll never understand this whole thing of, oh yeah, ladies, we have to figure out the red flags. You know what the red flags are. That's why you're there most of the time. It's like, he's attractive, he doesn't give me attention, and here I am going off to his house at 3 a.m. for 20 minutes at a time, you know, having a relationship that doesn't actually exist. And these girls will tell themselves the relationship exists. Like, you had nothing, right? These girls kind of want to wear men like trophies. Like, they want to be the one that kind of won him over. Oh, look what so they can tell their friends, look what I got. Right, look at the man that I secured. You girls couldn't get him. But what's happening a lot of the time is, like, the men aren't interested in you. Right, they're not interested in the relationships. They're not interested in committing to you. And we actually have a funny story we're going to be covering later over on Reddit. But nobody really cares for dating that way these days, gentlemen. Like, why the hell should men, quote unquote, man up and commit to these people?
say something along the lines of, oh yeah, like I just took a shower. And then they say something like this. Without me? Like, yes, yeah, without you. Next up, when you're sending them just like a selfie, like something like this. Well, that was crazy.
Yeah, and she continues to go through these things that she's gotten a million times. But at the end of the day, guys, like, you know, you can make these little quirky videos, whatever you want to call them, all right? But I mean, nobody really has any sympathy. Like, if you want to go out there and have fun. But you know, this talk of, oh yeah, I'm going to figure out the red flags. You know what the red flags are, all right?
Okay, y'all, so this is how to finesse an F-boy part 5. So I mentioned this tip in the last video, but I kind of want to go more in depth about it. The tip was to change your friend's name to a guy's name in your phone and then have them text you while you're hanging out with this F-boy. So what you can do is tell your friend, like, hey, text me in 3 minutes, okay? And then after you text your friend that, go and, like, show him, like, a TikTok on your phone. Be like, hey, look at this. And when your friend texts you, it'll say, like, oh, Blake texted me or something, right?
Yeah, because why the hell would you go out and do something productive in society and actually grow as a person, right, when you can play this stupid little crap on your phone and try and make him jealous by getting your friend to text you as a man? You know what I mean? And, like, people wonder why they aren't taken seriously. A lot of these girls, man, they've got their little coffee barista job, right? And thinking that they're on the way to get that bag. Meanwhile, they're spending their entire time, they're wasting their time trying to get some guy to commit to them that has no interest in committing to them by playing these stupid little mind games. Right? A lot of men look at this and go, I'm not going to bother with this. You know? Like, these girls want to go off and play all this manipulation crap, and men are just kind of over it, man. I should retract that. I don't speak for all guys. You know, maybe some of you dudes are interested in these games that these women play. But I think maybe a lot of dudes are just saying no thank you. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, right? Because this is some high school crap that we're looking at right now, in my humble opinion.
When this happens and he clearly sees it, don't freak out. Don't be like, oops, like try to act like you're like hiding it. Just politely like, oh, swipe it up or completely ignore it. Let it sit there, whatever. Don't explain it at all. Don't say, oh, it's just this guy that like likes to talk to me. He always hits me up. Explain nothing. Swipe up.
I always find it funny when girls do this, right? They'll do the stuff of because girls will do this, right? This is actually, you might think that this is just like a one-off TikTok, but girls will actually pull this manipulation very commonly, okay? And like, when girls do this, it's embarrassing for them. Like, I feel embarrassed for them. I really do, because what they're trying to do is go, hey, look how valuable I am. You should think I'm valuable because other people think I'm valuable too. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not what makes you valuable. Like, girls think, hey, if what they're doing is they're trying to project what they're attracted to onto men a lot of the times. Like, you can be chased by 1,000 men. It actually makes you, in a lot of cases, more unattractive, right? Like, girls will be attracted to a guy who's chased by 1,000 girls, but a girl who's chased by and is giving attention to thousands of dudes, no man wants that girl, right? Like, let me know what you guys think in the comments, guys. But you know, a lot of these ladies, what they'll do is they'll get a bunch of dudes, and they think it makes them look more valuable, right? They think it makes them look like more of a catch because they're talking to a whole bunch of different dudes. Man, screw that.
Up and continue to keep showing him whatever, act like nothing happened. He might not mention it that moment, but he will eventually, in a week or whatever, he'll be like, oh, why don't you go text that other guy? And you'll know you got him. Okay, y'all, so this is how to...
Yeah, guys, and doesn't dating in 2021 sound enjoyable? You know? Like, I kid you not, man, girls will waste so much of their time playing this little BS, right? And the funny part is, like, they'll spend so much of their time doing this, they're not doing anything else productive. I mean, a lot of these girls are going out to parties, right? They're going out every weekend, ruining their bodies and stuff like that. And what they find down the road is they feel as though they have to settle later on, right? Because they're going out with dates who are, quite frankly, just better than them. Like, a lot of the time, right, the dude's either got his stuff together or just has no interest in committing to her. And she always think, you know, she's going to grow up thinking, oh, well, I'm entitled to a guy who earns 6 figures, 6 foot, you know, looks attractive and all that kind of stuff, when he's just out of your price range. And a lot of these girls, what they're doing is they're wasting all their time, they're ruining their body, they're working a dead-end job, trying to play these manipulation games, saying that they're getting the bag and that they're a smart, independent businesswoman. But when they rock around to 45, like, these are the types of girls that are crying in their car because nobody wants to deal with them. And again, I don't say that to be rude, guys. I don't say that to be mean. But, you know, we're having a little bit of an I can't even use that word, I don't think. You know, we're having a little bit of a situation at the moment with the single mothers out here. So let's continue on to today's next video. Oh, goodness gracious me. All right. Do this if they're dumping you.
So let's say that your girlfriend or boyfriend is trying to dump you in person. This is how you're going to respond if you want to stay with them still, okay?
What? Right off the bat, guys, why are we trying to stay with someone who doesn't want us? Can someone please explain that to me? Right? I feel like I have to say every time on this show, guys, we're not here trying to fix problems. We're not. If people don't want to be with you guys, cool. If a man's not interested in you, cool. If a girl's not interested in you, cool. Who cares? We're not trying to get people back and manipulate people to stay in our lives, guys. Goodness me.
They're going to be like, I don't want to be with you anymore. This is done. Just say, okay, no problem. Let me know if you change your mind.
No. What? There is no let me know if you change your mind. You say okay, and you leave. You know? Goodness gracious me, man.
And that's it. Act like it's no big deal. Extremely indifferent about it. So what that's going to do is, let's say they leave, they're going to think about that. They're going to think, why didn't they react the way that I wanted them to react or I expected them to react, right? Because they're going to expect you to be like, oh my God, why? But you're going to be like, whatever. So by doing that, they're going to put more value on you because they're going to wonder, wait, why don't they care? Right? So you mind fuck them. Okay? So try that shit out. And if it's through text, say the same thing. Be like, this is over. And be like, okay, cool. That's it. Let me know how it works. And if it doesn't work, my bad. Oopsie. So let's say that you're...
Goodness gracious me, man. Let's continue on to today's next video and see what else we got. And I want to thank you guys again for these submissions as well. It saves me trolling around looking through all this absolute cesspit that is TikTok.
I had a really great time hanging out with you last night.
Yeah, it's not a big deal though. It wasn't like a date or anything.
I was just saying I had a good time. I'm not asking you for your hand in marriage. What?
Look, I like you, but do you see this beanie? Okay, I'm a dirtbag. I don't do the whole boyfriend-girlfriend thing, so if that's what you want, go find it, okay?
Or you could just be better for me, since I like you, but...
Babe, a cheetah can't change its stripes. Okay, that was a joke, right? You know that cheetahs don't have stripes, you know that? Point is, I can't change who I am, okay? I know you want me to be your boyfriend, but I'm not boyfriend material. I wear cotton, okay?
Okay, it's kind of weird that you know what I want without even like talking to me. I know girls like you, okay? We hang out one time, you get all clingy, and then you're asking me if I want an above ground pool or built-in when I'm just like, I can't, I'm not your boyfriend. Okay, so you can call me baby when we're hanging out, but I'm not your girlfriend. Yeah, exactly. Like I should be able to be with other people I want, and if you want to stay committed to me, like that's cool. Like I like that. Yeah, that definitely seems fair. Hey, you.
I find these relationship dynamics like so funny to watch unfold, right? Because the ladies will get them, they'll make the choice of, you know, having fun with a dude who doesn't want to commit to them, okay? And the dude's like, oh yeah, well, you know, I'm not going to commit to you, right? A lot of these times the girls will say, like, how come he just wasn't honest? A lot of these dudes are actually honest with them. I'm not looking for anything serious right now, or I'm not interested in something long term. And yet these girls will continue to stay in the situation as if they're like shocked and surprised that he's continuing to see other girls, and that he's not interested. You know, it's kind of like a hit to their ego is the thing, right? When guys just aren't interested in them, it's actually a bit of a shock, right? Because a lot of these women walking around at the moment, you know, especially with the rise of single mothers and stuff like that, a lot of men are not in the family unit anymore. Like, we got a lot of dudes being just booted out through divorce courts and stuff like that. You know, and a lot of men are, you know, just not there in the family unit anymore. So you wind up with all these girls who have no boundaries. Right, because that's what the father is there for. Okay, a lot of these people, a lot of young kids right now, growing up without fathers in the picture, and they find it incredibly difficult to establish boundaries. Right, you end up with girls who end up in certain types of establishments, shall we say, doing certain types of dances. Right, that's the stereotype of a woman without a father. And, you know, and a guy that grows up without a father, he doesn't have boundaries either. A lot of these guys, you know, they grow up and they go to prisons and stuff like that. They have like behavioral issues because there's no sense of boundaries that's been drawn. Okay, and the way this plays out in relationships, guys, is girls get into relationships and like they're not even relationships, right? And then they want to turn around and demand respect at other times. Like they will continually disrespect themselves, have no boundaries for what they put up with, right? Because dudes will cheat on them or, you know, not commit to them and, you know, treat them like crap, ignore them, not validate them, whatever the case may be, right? And these girls will put up with it, and then they want to turn around later and say, oh no, I'm worth this much. Like, they have a very, very bad sense of boundaries, and they demand people to respect them when they're not deserving of respect anymore, because they've just screwed up their decision making so much in their lives. But let's continue on to today's last video, and then we will jump into today's TikToks. Okay, and this one I believe is actually plays a bit of music here. I'll turn it down and we'll kind of read through this. So what did that say? Husband moved out today after 18 years. We have a lady here crying in her car. And you know, goodness gracious me, man. It's with him setting up their new rooms. You get all these girls at the moment, man, who are saying, I'm just going to let this play and kind of talk over and kind of turn my volume down so I can talk to you guys. Sitting in my driveway, in my car, in my driveway. Right, you get all these ladies who say, you know, I don't care if he leaves, or I don't need no man and stuff like that. And she continues on by saying, because I don't want to go inside to an empty house full of silence. Right, you get all these girls talking big words, okay, but when dudes walk out of their lives and they've got nothing, right, it's like they end up crying like this. And a lot of the times, they actually have a lot, right? They've taken his house, they've taken the kids and stuff like that, but hey, you want to be a strong, independent woman. I mean, a lot of times this is how that kind of talk ends up. And, you know, this isn't to say specifically for this woman here. We don't know anything really about her story and the circumstances. Could have been the guy screwing her for all we know. But this whole strong, independent woman act only lasts a certain amount of time. It really does, right? And again, like, how many times, guys, on this channel do we see, like, women crying in their cars, I swear? I feel like this is where the girls come to complain about their relationships, right? And, you know, this could be a very bad situation. Maybe the husband screwed her over. We don't really know. Okay, but the strong, independent women act, guys, it's not fooling a lot of people anymore. But we are going to be jumping into today's Reddit stories here momentarily. And again, thank you guys for submitting in the Reddit stories and today's videos. I very much appreciate it. And hey guys, we're going to take a pause. If you haven't subscribed already and if you're enjoying the videos, guys, make sure you subscribe and drop a comment as to what you think about these stories today. Now, this first Reddit article, guys, is titled, Boyfriend Willing to Commit to a Tortoise for 100 Years? But not to me. I'm a 22-year-old female and my boyfriend is 24, has decided in the last month he would like a tortoise to reward himself for finally getting a job. We are living together, so it would be my responsibility as much as his. We've been dating for almost 2 years, best friends for 3, and we've talked about wanting things like a family plus marriage and stuff, but not for a while. He says he's not willing to commit to that yet with me, which is understandable. We're young, have a lot of life to figure out still. However, when he brought up the tortoise, he mentioned that he wanted a baby one, which according to him will live for about 100 years. I asked him jokingly why he was more willing to commit to a tortoise he's never met as opposed to me. He said he's not ready for that kind of commitment with me. I meant it as a joke, but he took it really seriously now, and now I'm questioning everything. Not sure what to do. Sad face. I love this line right here. Like she asked about why he's more willing to commit to a tortoise than to her, and she was just not prepared for the answer there. So let's crack into what people say. It's a good thing that he can recognize which commitments he is comfortable with making and at which times. That says that he knows himself and his capabilities well, and that's a really good thing for your relationship. First, as someone else mentioned, a marriage is a legal, on-paper commitment that requires going to court and paying a lot of money to end, whereas he can just give away the tortoise. Second, a lifetime commitment to a tortoise involves feeding it, cleaning up after it, playing with it, etc. It's not like caring for a fish, but it's not a huge amount of work either. Marriage is a lot of work. It's conscious work every day. Also, you guys are young. A 24-year-old guy being comfortable with getting a pet but not with getting married yet is normal and healthy. Goodness gracious me, man. And, marriage is a legal document, guys. People are asking the question, hey, how come men are leaving? How come men aren't dating anymore? How come men aren't getting married anymore? Because a lot of men are actually able to talk to each other now and say, hey, man, I got completely screwed over. I lost all my assets. I lost, a lot of my money. I lost my kids. And I lost the family that I thought I had. And within 2 weeks, she was with some dude who she said not to worry about. Like, guys are the ones that burden the risk, that hold the risk for all this sort of stuff, man. So personally, I'd be taking the tortoise over absolutely anything to do with marriage these days. But let's continue on to today's next story. And I'm a 24-year-old male wife who is 22 years old, tells me I'm a huge disappointment almost weekly and that she would leave me. Hi, I made this throwaway account just to ask some advice because my wife has been telling me that I am such a huge disappointment because of the following reasons. But before that, here is our living situation. I'm currently studying medicine as a first-year student, and she is also studying law as a second-year student. We have a one-year-old daughter. And we live in her parents' house. Right, okay. Before we got married, my mother and grandmother told me that I should not be forced or pressured by my wife or in-laws to find a job because I am still studying. And knowing how difficult or time-consuming medicine is, I find it difficult to find some time for finding even little income. Now for the reasons why I'm a disappointment. So let's have a look at this. I tried investing $80 on crypto and never made my money back, all the while my brother who I introduced to crypto is making more money. I refuse to play AXIE, even though it only takes an hour a day or 2 hours because I would rather use that time for rest and leisure from babysitting our daughter and med school. Right, I think that must be, I'm not too sure. I am not hardworking or keen on finding ways of income, unlike her father who has a high-ranking position and is earning a lot. She also keeps threatening to leave me if I don't find a way to make even little money because she feels ashamed of me that I'm not making money. And because neither of us have any income, I think, plus the expenses of having a baby and being in school, and that me being a med student is not something to be proud of. She also seems to stir this up whenever we spend money on groceries and things. I am just really tired of explaining why I am focusing on my schooling to make a better income in the future and depending on our parents because of our current situation. Sometimes I get really fed up and just want to move out back to my parents' house and focus on my goal. I never really felt any support from her since my plans on medical school. She always tells me that I should have just looked for a job while she was in law school whenever problems arise. This is a funny situation that we see a lot of the time, guys, where ladies will say they're really supportive and they care and, they're all about a man's goals and stuff like that. Let me just say this. If you're a man, first of all, they're not supportive. Second of all, if you're a man and you need support, please expect that you're not going to get it a lot of the time. Maybe from your close friends and stuff like that, guys. But girls are not long-term supportive people. Okay, if you go through a period of hard time, let's just say, you've got some bad mental health and stuff like that, you're struggling with issues in real life, expect your girl to leave at some point, guys. Like, a lot of women are not willing to put up with a guy who, they perceive at least as weak. And that's not me saying that, if you're in a bad situation, I don't think you're weak for that, guys. A lot of these girls just perceive it that way, and they leave dudes. Like, I'm pretty sure they did a study, right, on mental health in marriage, and if you've got mental health issues, like, the divorce percentage goes up to something like 80% if you're a dude and you're struggling with that sort of stuff. So take that how you will, guys. Let's continue. Sometimes I get really fed up and just want to move back, blah, blah, blah. Any advice on what my mentality should be? Does she have valid points, and what can I do? Thank you. So let's jump into some of these responses before we wrap up today's show with one more story. So let's have a look. Yes, OP, you seem like a good, hardworking dude, and this girl is almost clearly just a gold digger wanting someone who is going to make more money like their father. Not saying she isn't hardworking too, but she is shallow and clearly only cares about status and not about the relationship. It might be too late to not be tied to her due to the whole kid thing, but you do have options. Option 1, you stay. This continues for years until you finally get your med degree and makes a decent living, but now you decide to take a medical job that's not top of the field, but makes you great money and still gives you time to be with your daughter and to see her grow, because you care about your relationships and your family. Thing is, her father would become the best in the field and not settle for less, so why not you? So even after years of putting up with this, the person who is supposed to love you is just there to demean you, be entitled to your money, and let you know that even after all of your hard work, you still aren't good enough. And this is a sad situation a lot of times where men end up in relationships, right? And the idea is sold to dudes that, hey, relationships should be about loving and about caring and all this crap, guys. And it cannot be understated just the amount that dudes are used for their money in relationships. Like, it is so common, guys. It is actually unbelievable. In fact, a lot of these girls who, this is a young couple here, but a lot of girls who get to older ages, what they actually do is they specifically target men. Girls in general will specifically target dudes who have a lot of money. So just be on the lookout for that. If you're a guy and you're well established and you're on your path in life and stuff like that, you will be targeted for a lot of these different things. So guys, we're going to be jumping into today's last story here before we wrap up today's episode. So as always, make sure you're leaving your comments and your thoughts as we continue through. Now this one is titled, "My Wife Cheated on Me." I, a 25-year-old male, spent most of yesterday trying to sort out my thoughts and feelings while my 23-year-old wife was asleep. She works graveyards and cheated on me with a police officer that she works with. When we started our talk yesterday, she said she still doesn't think she did anything wrong and claims that she wasn't active in the inappropriate touching or kissing. Goodness. It's like she planned on how to get this guy in to feel her up and still have some deniability. I brought up contacting this guy's wife and telling her what happened, but she won't stop saying it's none of our business. I asked her who she thinks the us is in that, because it's my business and I don't think she should have to stay in a relationship with a guy who does that stuff behind her back. I work a part-time job right now as a first responder in the same city this guy is a cop in. I'm worried because I'm not the kind of person who would see him walk by while working an event and just say nothing. It's not who I am, and I owe myself at least a good solid giving him a piece of my mind. Guys, don't get mad at the dudes, by the way, in these situations. Just leave your wife, man. No need to go out and have a go at the guy, man. Like, your wife is the one that let this happen. So let's keep going. It seems like she feels bad for all the wrong reasons. In fact, when I dropped our sons off at my parents' office, I ran into my MIL. Her daughter was receiving care from my dad, and I told her what happened because I was visibly distraught and crying. This was the day I found out. When I told my wife where our son was so we could have a talk and about how she cheated on me and I found out, the first words out of her mouth were, "Did you tell my mother?" My wife is upset because our son is really distant with her and super close with me. I'm a full-time parent and she has spent the last 3 months emotionally distancing herself from us. I thought she was going through a tough time, and she might be, but now I think that it was just so that she could cheat on me and not feel guilty. In fact, the last 2 arguments we have had were about seemingly insignificant stuff. that I had already apologized for that she would then bring up back up now and blow out of proportion. Like cleaning. I don't clean enough. I do clean, but I am also a full-time parent to a whirlwind of a 2-year-old kid. I can clean in the morning, and by noon it just looks just as dirty. One time she drove us to the store, parked, and I asked her to park in a different spot because our son was getting sun right in his face. She just threw her arms up in the air and started to drive us home. Wow, goodness me. We went there because she wanted to get ice cream on a hot day. She would also go to this bastard cop for emotional support after we argued about all these little things, only through text, but she let me read through them, and it seemed like she was always making me out the bad guy after these fights. I rarely get angry, but when I do, it's just a raised voice and more animated gestures. I don't, do anything that crosses a line, and I don't throw things. She's making me feel crazy, and it doesn't seem like she feels bad about what happened. She held this guy's hand while he kissed her all over, and he put his hand in a certain place. Every time she says she was the passive party, I get more upset. She wrote in her diary that she wants this guy, and reading through the texts, he was the one to shut it down. Between her texts and the diary entries, I fully believe she would have had bedroom fun with him if she had been able to get him alone. We scheduled counseling, but we're also going to the bank today to sign her off on my checking account. To sign her off of my checking account, good. I also have a consultation with a lawyer next week. I'll post the original account of events in the comments. Goodness gracious me, gentlemen, that was an absolute whirlwind. Make sure you leave your thoughts and comments to that, guys. But for the sake of time, guys, we are wrapping up today's show because this episode has gone on long enough. Guys, as always, make sure you take care of yourselves. And if you're interested in joining the Discord and the locals links in the description, they're both totally free to join. And if anything happens to this channel, you'll be notified through those 2 links. But otherwise, guys, make sure you take care of yourselves. And I will be seeing you, gentlemen, in the next video. Peace.